What I really am drawn to is these little stories about how golf is woven into the fabric of people's lives more than any other sport. And it's like it becomes his family.
All right, so Rick, somehow here we are, whatever it is, 25, 30 years into their careers, and Tiger and Phil are still, at the forefront of golf headlines. As a Phil guy, what do you make of this iteration of his career?
Well, I love Phil, but Phil always tries to be 23% more clever than he needs to be. And it's in that 23% sometimes when he says stupid crap. And some of that take was so stupid. Like the whole thing started with, I want to own my own video. What? Mm-hmm. You don't get to own your own. Jordan, Brady, they don't get to own their own video. Start a network, I guess. Maybe then you can own it. Mm-hmm. Make a deal with the Saudis. Maybe then you can own your video. So believe me, he says a lot of stupid stuff, and I usually call him on it, but he says a lot of smart stuff too. But none of that was smart. I've covered that guy since he was in college. You can tell when he knows he's on the record and when he isn't. So those to me were absolutely quotes where he didn't realize he was being quoted. Now, whose fault was that? Phil called Alan, right? Alan's a great reporter. Did Phil think it was off the record? Did Alan think it was on the record? Something got screwed up. What I don't get is, doesn't it seem like kind of an overreact? Is it that horrible? The stuff he said, it's horrible, but he didn't kill anybody. To me, enough already. Okay, he paid his price. All these companies dropped him. I hope he plays in Tulsa. I hope he makes it back. I hope he wins another major. I mean, I can't see this lasting much longer.
Is there a Phil story in So Help Me Golf?
He got me drunk out of the Claret Jug one day and I couldn't drive home out of San Diego to LA. He insists you drink out of that damn Claret Jug.
What were you drinking?
And you drink Claret. And I asked Amy how much the bottle was. She said $3,000.
Rick, can you give us a synopsis of what So Help Me Golf is? Because it's a lot of things, right?
In sportswriting, we call it saving string. And so I've been saving string on this book for probably 35 years. The stories that happen between shots and after, and the incredible father-son, father-grand. I didn't have any father-son thing, but a lot of guys have great stories. And so I started collecting string, hoping I would write about basically my Valentine to the game.
Is that how you would describe this? This is a love letter to the game, and through your own eyes and then through the eyes of other people that also have unique relationships to golf?
Yeah, and it's 80 it's 80 columns, really. I used to write a column in the back of Sports Illustrated, and it was about 800 words. And so these are all about between 700 and 1,000 words. I like to say, you can get one done every time you go to the pot. They're not longer than that. And it's great stories. Like, do you know Lahinch in Ireland? It has a blind par three.
Yeah.
So there's not many blind par threes in the world because they're ridiculous, right? But in Lahinch, it works. So in one day, in a space of 2 hours, 4 guys made holes in one on that hole, on the blind par three. It was the greatest night in the bar's history, because it was late afternoon and everybody's drinking and buying each other drinks, and the caddies are allowed in the bar at Lahinch. So they're getting free drinks from all these guys. And then pretty soon the townspeople have snuck in and they're getting free drinks, and the bartender's just having the greatest day. And it's all going great until the bartender's wife comes through the front door of the bar. She's holding her 6-year-old's ear like this. And she marches the kid behind the bar and she says, "You tell your dad what you've been doing today, you little rascal." And the kid's like, "I was putting balls in the hole." he put 4 balls in the hole. And she says, and the bartender just laughs and keeps pouring Guinnesses, and the wife says, "Are you not going to punish the lad or do nothing?" And the bartender says, "Yes, I am going to do something." He picked him up and kissed him on the forehead. It's that kind
fantastic.
I was thinking about why there's so many great golf moments and stories. I think it's because we play it forever, right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm 64, I'm still playing it. I hope to play it till I'm 104. And there's always something happens every time. So I started finding these stories, and that's what's in the book. There was a pilot for the Air Force during the Vietnam War. He was shot down. and he was put in the Hanoi Hilton, which is the horrible prison where John McCain spent all those years. And he gets put in a 6-foot by 7-foot cell. And yet every morning for 4 years by himself, he played golf. He found a stick, snuck it in his pant leg, he snuck it into his cell. And then every morning he would play his Hattiesburg Country Club golf course, and not just play it. He'd get up, kiss his wife, get in his, Chevy, drive through the little streets, wave to the used car guy, wave to the grocery store lady, put his shoes on, literally doing all this stuff in the cell. Gets to the first tee with his 3 buddies, hits his drive, right? He was a college player. So he hit it about 240. So he hits it about 240, paces it off in his cell, right?
Oh my God.
Now he's got 132 yards left. For him, that's a 9-iron. Paces that off. Now he's got a 22-footer, knows exactly how it breaks in his mind, paces that off, always 2-putted, always made par. 7 years later, when he lands at the Hattiesburg airport, they bring him outside on the tarmac. They've built a little stage for him. He gets to the podium, and the whole town is there in front of him. And he starts crying because he sees the shoe shine guy. And he sees the guy that he waved at, the lady that ran the grocery, and the used car guy. And he just starts crying because he said to them all, "You saved my life. You in this game we all love saved my life. I would have probably died if it hadn't been for golf."
Rick, you mentioned your back page articles for Sports Illustrated, which, I mean, speak for myself, but probably also Sean, are some of the things that got us into this entire world of sports writing to begin with. Is this book, an homage to that length and that sort of column writing, or do you miss doing that? How is the relationship of these 800 word pieces,
I missed writing that I'm sorry. I missed writing that 800 word profile, which is really hard, because the thing, when I wrote those SI columns, I wanted it to be like a little movie. Act 1, we find a guy we like. Act 2, get that guy up a tree, throw rocks at him. Act 3, get him out of the tree, right? There were always, I tried them to make little dramas, unless I was being funny or mad or crazy. But so that's what so I missed writing that 800 word format. And so the original idea was, well, maybe I'll write 100 new columns about sports. But then I realized what I really am drawn to is these little stories about how golf is woven into the fabric of people's lives more than any other sport. And it's like it becomes his family.
Do you feel like the internet has killed the 800 word column to some extent, Rick?
Well, that's what I tell Simmons. You're terrific, but you could use a carload of editors. And he's like, I know, but I like to write stream of consciousness. And I said, but you wrote 9,000 words on Kevin Garnett. This was back when we were both at ESPN. Yeah. He's like, my readers know they have to skim me. I'm like, I'm not sure that's a badge of honor that people have to skim you. But he grew up in a different time, right? I grew up in newspapers. We only had so much space to fill. He grew up in the internet where just blah, 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 and you don't have to edit.
Rick, I've got a question that I hope you can answer. I'm not sure you would be able to, but you've spent plenty of time in Italy. I think do you own a home over there?
No. We try to go for 2 months a year.
Okay.
And we just, bounce around.
Now, the next Ryder Cup is in Rome.
Oh, man.
Will that be weird, different? What is the golf scene that you felt over there? Like, how is that Ryder Cup going to go?
Oh. Italy does food beautifully. Wine, style, panache, they don't much care about golf. Molinari, when he won, it didn't even make the front page of sports. It was tucked in behind the motorcycles.
Oh, no.
My last question for you, Rick. Do the golf gods exist? And if so, do you have a story to prove it?
Yes, of course the golf gods exist. Although Patrick Reed is still playing. If you look for a guy's golf ball out of bounds, golf gods will get you. If you're a higher handicap guy giving a lower handicap guy advice, golf gods will get you. If you bitch on a putt and it goes in, you owe me $5, golf gods will get you.
Well, it's called So Help Me Golf. He's Rick Reilly. Thanks for hanging with us, Rick.